On today's show, I'm going to make a Guinness beef stew. This looks delicious. We're going to make it with bacon and beef. We have carrots and celery, onions, potatoes. Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Diabetic Diet Show. Let's start with our bacon. So I'm going to need about 4 pieces of bacon. I use a spatula to pull the bacon out, and I can go ahead and start the fire. Got the pan on hot just for a minute while it gets hot. And then I'm going to turn down to medium-low and wash my hands after this. I think I'll do 4 of these today. And I bought the thick cut, and of course I buy Oscar Mayer because as far as I'm concerned that's the only brand of bacon there is. Cover it up with a splash guard. Bacon is done. We'll take that out. Now we're going to put the stewing beef in here. Nice and slow. Try not to splash yourself. And I'm not really cooking it at this point. I'm just browning it up. Okay, it's all browned up. Let's get the heat off. I'll just let it sit for a minute while I do this bacon. So I'm just grabbing all of the bacon and a pair of scissors and just chop like this. Easiest, fastest way to do this. And I've resisted and I didn't eat any. Now the meat. Going kind of slow, using a slotted spatula. Let the juices stay in the pan. Save that juice. And give this a little bit of a toss to mix it all together. That smells good. Now we have to do our onions and garlic. So for the onions, I'm just going to cut off the outside and anything that I don't like. Pull the outside off, just like that. Put them in half a couple of times so they'll fit in my chopper. Let's do the second one. Do this fast so my eyes don't water. Here's my chopper. I have 2 different blades for it. I have the larger blade and the smaller blade. Today we're going to use the larger blade. Now we just use our cutter, which has an easy button on it right there. just like that. I have the heat back on the frying pan, and we are going to cook up the onions. While that's going, I'm going to start on the garlic. So I've already cut the ends off the garlic. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's do this garlic. Use a garlic cutter today. You can use a press, you can cut it with a knife. I don't think it much matters. I just happen to have this. There you go, your onions are translucent. Here's our beer. That was a Guinness. I think I set a world record for spilling the most Guinness beer. Okay, now celery goes in. Tomato paste. About a squirt. Some thyme. About a palm. Heavy palm. Carrots, a couple of good handfuls. Salt and pepper. I'm going easy on salt and pepper. Can always put more in later. Some sugar. I'm using the Truvia. Remember, this is kind of sweet. Don't use too much of it compared to a regular sugar. And then lastly, just going to kind of shake it to even it out. Then I can pour on the top to cover everything with the chicken stock, about that much. Now we want to fire up the burner again. We're going to bring this up to a boil, and then we're going to turn it down and just let it simmer a little bit. This boiled, simmered, and now I'm going to put my potato water on, and I'm going to move this to the stove. Because that has to cook for about 2 hours on a simmer. Now we need to do our potatoes. So for potatoes, you're going to need about 4 pounds for the recipe. I'm planning on using just about 4 potatoes. Let's see what they look like. There's some nice big ones. Let's get the biggest ones. That's about 2 pounds right there. So that's what we'll use. Now I'm not going to wash them until after I cut them. I've heard the technique both ways. I've heard you're better off to slice them first and then wash them. I'm going to try to do on the end. I can be real careful here. It goes easier once you get a little bit of the potato lubed up here. I cut my finger with this thing just taking it out of this island one time, so I'm just a little leery, being careful. These are all washed, and now they have to boil for about 8 minutes. Sometimes I use my orange ones, but today we'll use these cloth ones. We're just going to go slow. Get that in there. It's coming back up to a boil now. I'll take the lid off and hit the timer for 8 minutes. These are almost done. I need to double check them and see what they look like. So I'm going to throw some salt and pepper in here right now. I want to salt these up real good. You know, potatoes get a lot of salt. I'm just going to kind of stir them a little bit here. I'm not in any rush to bring these off, but I do want to check them. So here's a couple. I'll just take off the top. It'll stay on my fork. Yeah, it's coming right apart. These are all set. Let's go ahead and turn this off, and then we'll let it sit for a minute. The timer is almost ready to beep, and our meal is done. I've had it sitting on the stove, and it's been cooling for a little bit so that I can handle it. Wanted to let it sit for a little bit and cool off. So here we go with a delicious looking meal. Just like that. There you go. Hope you've enjoyed watching the show. And by the way, here's 2 more just like it.